Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and there are two things right now that really piss off people in the tabletop and board game space, and that is Harry Potter and suggesting that people use or should use AI in any aspect of game development. And here's the truth. The truth is, I would wager a good majority of game developers are probably using AI right now. They're just not telling people they're using AI because they don't want to get canceled by people who are probably also using AI. It's just a very weird thing to witness, the witch hunts here. So we're going to talk about that, and we'll talk a little bit about the Harry Potter thing too, and kind of where everything is going. But yeah, it's kind of wild to see all these cancellations happening when you have huge companies out there like Wizards of the Coast saying flat out they're going to lean into AI, Disney saying they're going to lean into AI. Pretty much everybody's saying they're going to use it to some degree or another, but they're still going to have creatives involved, right? But then to have these tabletop companies just like freak out. Same with Harry Potter too. The Harry Potter thing, we did a video last week talking about how Upper Deck got the license for Harry Potter and Hasbro got the license for Harry Potter, and they were out in force trying to guilt them, shame them into giving up these licenses they probably paid a ton of money for, because Harry Potter is still a very valuable brand regardless of whether or not you like it. It still has value. And there was another game developer that was pressured. I think it was it Code Words? I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they were a smaller publisher. They got pressured into donating all the proceeds from their Harry Potter game to a trans charity. It's like, and I think what's going on is the tabletop space, the board game space is smaller. Same with comic books, right? It's a smaller industry, so these people tend to police each other, and they tend to police each other on social media, most notably, Blue Sky seems to be ground zero, but I'm also seeing a lot of it on Facebook. I noticed this the other day, and I found it very concerning, and I'm not going to put individuals on blast because that's what they're calling for, but there was a digital lynch mob forming in public on Facebook with a bunch of comic book pros who said they were going to start calling out names of people they suspect of using AI in any capacity in their workflow. Suspect, not proven, but suspect. And I'm telling you, if you're using AI checkers to check people's art, it's not always accurate. There's actually a piece, I did this as a test myself, a piece I did a couple of years ago, completely by hand in Clip Studio. I ran it through the AI checker and it said it was AI. People are going back and checking Wizards of the Coast's own work from like 2013, 2014, and it's getting a positive as being likely AI generated, probably because the AI has been trained on that kind of work, right? From like D&D manuals, magic cards, and that sort of thing. So it's not always accurate, but it is concerning that people are willing to throw other people under the bus. And my feeling on this is, if you don't, I'm not telling anybody to be like super pro AI or whatever, right? It's an inevitability. It's unrealistic to think that everybody's going to stop using it overnight or at all if they're saving a lot of money. That being said, you don't have to buy products that use it, right? You don't have to. That's your choice, right? But outing your competition or shaming your competition, to me, just looks like another gotcha to try to kneecap a competitor. It doesn't look like you're doing it for the sake of the planet. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't look like you're doing it. We need to save the consumers from the AI slop. No. You want to make your competitor look bad because you're hoping that people will choose you instead. And usually what happens is you look like a whiny bitch and they don't choose you either. But I digress. And here's the depressing truth, whether you like it or not. Most consumers don't care. Most consumers don't care. They look at something and they'll decide in a nanosecond whether or not they want to pick it up and buy it. Most people are not concerned with how it was made, just that it looks cool, it looks fun, whether it's games or comics or whatever it is, animation, and that's what they care about. The people that are super hyper focused on how a thing is made, they're the same people that are reading the ingredients list on the labels in the grocery stores, and very few people actually do that, right? Unless you're you've got like religious reasons that you got to make sure you can't eat pork or whatever it is, right? You're not really reading the labels. Most people aren't. They're going to look at the calorie count, probably, of the fat content, but they're not going to look at everything on the label. So let's talk about the AI witch hunts. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Hey, go out to Kickstarter, and this is not AI. This is Crimson Wren. This was actually drawn by Jose Garcia. So check it out. You have another chance to pick it up. We're going to leave this open for, I think, about a month, a couple weeks or a month, whenever we start to fulfill it. But it is another chance to pick up the Crimson Wren hardcover book that has been out of print for a few years now. And we've also got some other perks out there, including D20 cards, prints, etc., etc., etc. So I got to give a hat tip to Fandom Pulse, who covered this. I'm going to be honest, I don't look into a lot of the drama with the board game industry because it really is, when it comes to smaller companies, it really does feel like a community, and they tend to eat each other, and it's not really something that I'm interested in following. We just kind of do our own thing. But this company, a lot of times the cancel culture comes because of politics. I think everyone's kind of gotten over the politics now, and now they're, like I said, they're moving on to other things they can get you for, which is usually AI and Harry Potter. And again, both of these things, major companies are leaning all in. They're going all in on it. I mean, we've got Chris Cox out there from Hasbro saying that they're going to go all in on AI. We've got Disney going all in on AI. So it's going to be unavoidable. But again, they can't control Hasbro. They can't control Disney, but they can control their peers, or try to control their peers in the industry. So this is AEG. Again, hat tip to Fandom Pulse. They've been keeping on top of this stuff. AEG, or Alderac Entertainment Group, was once known for their top-of-the-line collectible card games and RPGs like Legend of the Five Rings, Seventh Sea, and Deadlands Doomtown. And honestly, I've not played any of those, and I'm sorry. In recent years, the company has shifted to what they consider accessible board games, trying to appeal to the more casual gamer and to the DEI-infused industry with they're saying antics, but now the entire industry has turned on the company after its CEO made a statement positing what AI might be able to do in the future. So this is somebody who leaned into the right way of thinking, and they could really feel that way, or it could just be that they don't want to get canceled. We've seen in the tabletop space, especially, cancel culture is rampant, right? It really is. And, we saw this firsthand with the Harry Potter announcement, that they all went after all the companies that got the Harry Potter license. Again, good luck canceling Hershey Chocolate. Good luck canceling Lego. Good luck, canceling all these other companies that have the license. Just don't buy it. You don't want to support Harry Potter, don't buy it. But I hope you cancel your HBO Max subscription, and I hope you don't support any Warner Brothers products. I hope you don't go to Universal Studios. Any company that has anything to do with J.K. Rowling, you're going to have a really hard time avoiding it. I hope you don't go to Walmart because they carry Harry Potter products. I hope you don't buy from Barnes & Noble because they carry Harry. You know what I'm saying? Like, where does it end, right? You can't police the entire economy. Just don't buy the things that you don't want to buy. Anyway, this company, AEG, eventually became known for their Legend of the Five Rings card game and RPG, along with a lot of other very creative card games, but they pivoted to the more generic board game market several years back. There was good money in it. There was an appetite, especially during the pandemic, for accessible board games. Today, AEG is a privately held California-based company that markets itself as a small but focused board game publisher, producing hits like Tiny Towns, Mystic Vale, Thunderstone, Istanbul, and Space Base. The company emphasizes design-driven, broadly appealing games and often uses crowdfunding and partnerships to bring new titles to market. Okay, so part of the transition has, of course, involved Zinzer. Is that the guy who's in charge? Zinzer and company moving hard to the left, signaling to activists in gaming and calling out and attacking anyone who's family-oriented on the right. So apparently this person has been careful to make sure they're not running afoul of the cancel culture mob, but now the cancel culture is coming for them. And this happens often. This happens a lot these days. It said Zinzer was always known as a longtime Republican, and it seemed like an attempt to try to save his skin when the industry took out their pitchforks for anyone to the right of Mao. Well, yeah, there was a lot of political stuff going on in tabletop. It does seem in some ways that has died down in recent years. It depends on where you go. I mean, we do have, of course, the tabletop community and certain organizations that you have to have the right politics or whatever. But I think a lot of people are just kind of building outside of that. I mean, you look at the success of Troll Lord games, and they just don't give a shit. They just do what they want to do, and they've been very, very successful. AEG's current CEO has violated the narrative of the creative arts industry activist by making a statement, positive use of AI. So this is on LinkedIn. Oh, LinkedIn's terrible, man. LinkedIn used to be like legit. Like you go to LinkedIn to actually look for jobs. Now it's basically just Tumblr, right? He said, this is, let's see here. Ryan Dancy. Okay. COO. Okay. Baffles me why people think AI should be included in any serious business when it's like The Office 4-year-old, said Richard Simpson. Okay. So the COO of the game company says, because 3 years ago, it was essentially nothing but a curiosity. Now it's useful, but in limited cases. In a year or two, it will be as useful as any new hire. A year or two after that, it will be as useful as an experienced employee in any field for a few dollars a day in cost. That's true. I think we're going to hit a ceiling on how useful it is. I think it's always going to require a human operator or a human touch or some oversight. But again, I'm not talking about replacing all humans. I'm talking about, it's probably going to replace a good majority, because you might have one person be able to oversee, 10 bot farmers or whatever, it is, versus having 10 or 11 jobs. And that's just the reality of it. And if you don't do it, your competition is going to. And the other people are going to complain about it, and they're probably going to ultimately do it too. I want to see that. I want to see that happen. I want to see all the people that are complaining about AI usage now and trying to, take out their competitors. I want to see where they're at in 5 or 10 years, if they're still around, if they're using it. And I want somebody to call them out for it. I want somebody to say, hey, you know what? You attacked this person over their perceived AI usage, and you yourselves are now using it. Anyway, the crowdfunding was that way too. I remember when crowdfunding first started, it was e-begging. There literally were publishers that said it was e-begging, that no serious creator, no serious artist would use crowdfunding because it was awful and bad and whatever. And if you were a real artist, somebody would pay you for your work up front and you'd get a regular deal. And how quickly that has gone to the wayside, right? 15 years ago, the best humans could beat any computer playing chess. Yes. 10 years ago, a human checking the work of the best chess playing computer could beat the best human. Today, the best humans cannot beat a chess playing computer. This is what is happening with AI, except the time frame is months and not years. So Ryan says, I have zero reason to believe that an AI couldn't come up with Tiny Towns or Flip 7 or Cubidos. Must be their games. I can prompt any of several AIs right now and get ideas for games as good as those. The gaming industry doesn't exist because humans create otherwise unobtainable ideas. It exists because many previous games exist, feed into the minds of designers who produce new variants on those themes. People then apply risk capital against those ideas to see if there's a product market fit. Sometimes there is, and sometimes there is not. In fact, much more often than not. Extremely occasionally, twice in my lifetime, D&D and Magic, a human has produced an all-new form of gaming entertainment. Those moments are so rare and incandescent that they echo across decades. Game publishing isn't an industry of unique special ideas. It's an industry about execution, marketing, and attention to detail, all things AIs are great at. And that's not untrue. I mean, I think a human is going to have a better grasp of what humans want, but I think it's very truthful, very blunt. And I actually appreciate his honesty, where he's basically like, there's nothing new under the sun. And that is true. You look at tabletop gaming now, and there's like 3 or 4 like archetype games that are kind of copied ad nauseum. We got collectible card games, we got tabletop role-playing games. You've got like Catan type games with a bunch of little pieces, and resource management games and the genres or whatever. But it's basically like, they fit into these categories because there's not a lot of like really, really new stuff. And people don't want to hear that though. They don't want to hear that their ideas aren't the greatest ideas ever. Right. So this is, who's this? Suzanne, a former Dice Tower contributor who's been a massive proponent of cancel culture to the point of getting one of the largest retailers banned from Gen Con at personal animus. Damn. Reposting with alt because this kind of phenomenal disdain and disrespect from within the industry, literally against two of their own titles, and the designer who made them is important to recognize. I think he's just telling the truth. The truth is there's not a lot of new stuff under the sun, right? I mean, you even look at Hasbro. I mean, they bought, Magic or whatever, but they haven't, Wizards of the Coast hasn't come up with anything new since they bought Magic and D&D. They just basically just keep regurgitating the same things over and over and over again because it works. It prints money, right? And then other people are copying that. And honestly, they only bought Wizards because they wanted Pokemon, because Pokemon was hot back in the day, and then Pokemon went out and started doing its own thing. But this person's like, dude is salivating at the chance to replace workers and incredibly disrespectful and dismissive to the designers who made his company successful. What utter bullocks to think they can or should be replaced by a machine. I don't think that's what he's saying at all. He's basically saying like it's getting to a place where it can do pretty, advanced tasks, right? If he views board games as soulless, calculated output from automatons, see also Hasbro, see also Milton Bradley. I'm just saying, and think about what that says about what he thinks about the players. Okay, so this is this is definitely them trying to take somebody out of play, no pun intended, that they perceive as a threat. They don't want the entire industry thinking this way. We've seen it in comics time and time again. And if it's not this, it's something else. It's politics or whatever. It's always you find whatever wrong you think a person has committed, and then you try to use it against them to support your own position. And I guarantee you, this person works for Dice Tower. They probably want to design their own games if they're not designing their own games already. And rinse and repeat, right? It's not just disrespect for designers. It's disrespect to every player. You're supposed to hate him too. It's on Blue Sky. You're not going to get a whole lot of interaction. No real people use Blue Sky. The narrow-mindedness and small view he has of the industry and the games is so telling. Even if you could leverage AI for new games that compellingly mix up existing mechanisms, let's talk about setting, theme, art, world building, etc. You don't get a wingspan out of AI until a human creates wingspan first. Well, what if that human is using AI to collaborate, to take their ideas and do them more efficiently or work out the numbers? You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry to the people who helped make AEG what it is today, to be treated as such disposable, worthless cogs. Well, he is the money guy. One of AEG's own designers gave his take on how sad him is. John Dubois. There's a lot of commentary already about Ryan Scott Dancy's bad take on AI. I don't think a lot of it delves into how deeply cynical about the board game industry the entire post is. He talks about a lack of true innovation in the industry, saying that only 2 games in his lifetime are really new ideas. I would argue that if you apply a level of cynicism that excludes Dominion, Love Letter, Mystic Vale, Legacy Games, and Pandemic as innovative, that same level of cynicism can be applied to say that D&D is just structured imagine play with chainmail figures. Well, that's what it was originally. That's how it evolved, right? Or Magic the Gathering is just a combination of cosmic encounter baseball cards. Well, yes. That's actually correct. None of this is to diminish D&D or Magic, both of which are extremely well-designed products, but rather to say that building off established ideas or existing things is fundamental to innovation in all areas. Oh God, what is this? Adding AEG to the increasing at an alarming rate list of companies that are dead to me. This is exhausting. Everything is exhausting. Ryan actually asked me to pitch a game to AEG the other week, and now I'm going to pass permanently. If you need a reason to stop buying games from them, here it is. COO Ryan Dancy thinks so little of designers that he believes AIs could produce games just as good as AEG releases, such as Tiny Towns or Cubidos. And he doesn't bother questioning the ethics of that plagiarism. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Wizards of the Coast, because Wizards of the Coast has been busted using AI on multiple occasions, despite saying they weren't going to use AI. And I guarantee you the stuff that's coming out now, gosh, wouldn't this be something if they're like their new cards like these, what is this? The June 2026 Pride promo cards. What if they were done with AI? Wouldn't that be interesting? Are you going to boycott Wizards? You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess where is the line in the sand? Because even if you have a personal ethics that you're not going to use this, that, or whatever in your work, or you're not going to support whatever, these megacorps that are making a lot of these games, they don't have the same code of ethics. They're going to do whatever they got to do to maximize profit. And when you look at Hasbro specifically, and you look at Chris Cox, everything he talks about, he's not talking about innovation. He's not talking about, you know, the next great game or the next great toy franchise or whatever. He talks about money. That's all he talks about is money, saving money, cost cutting, saving money, record growth, record profits. And they control a massive portion of the gaming industry, because it's not just tabletop. It's not just Dungeons and Dragons and Magic, but it's also, you know, Parker Brothers. They have Parker Brothers. They have Milton Bradley. They have all the board game manufacturers, all the classic board game manufacturers that influenced a lot of the games coming out today. And they're basically like, yeah, we're going to chase maximum profit. So like I said, if you're not using it, your competition is, and this is probably just the community trying to police itself. I mean, I don't care one way or the other. People use it, don't use it, whatever. But if you're going to go around and form, you know, cancel culture mobs, and in a lot of ways, you know, it could be people that are taken out of context, but at least in the art communities, they're going around and they're actually trying to cancel people that are not using AI because their stuff is too good. So what does that say about you? If you're like, well, this is too good, it couldn't be human, then a company's going to look at that and be like, yeah, that's better than a human. So, and how much did it cost? Oh, well, maximum profit, maximum revenue, you know, that's what they look at. I'm just saying, it's going to be it's going to be a very interesting couple of years. I do remember it was only 3 or 4 years ago, and they've got people on Kickstarter now, right? That they were going to boycott, they were all going to boycott Kickstarter because they were talking about using blockchain and NFTs, and now you don't hear anything about it. You don't hear anything about it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.